Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today we're going to continue to work on some of the reels that Scott has sent in. To those of you that have been watching my previews, you know that Scott sent me 3 or 4 boxes of flea market finds, and this was among them. This is the Penn 720Z. It's a medium to light duty Mitchell 324 series, kind of embodied design in that, but that's about it as far as the similarities. So we're going to take this reel apart, we're going to service it, and show you how to do that, how it comes apart, how it's serviced, how it goes back out fishing again. Nice setup here, clean. There's not a lot of issues paint and tarnish wise as far as the collectability is. This owner decided to put the pound test of the line that he has on the body. That's fine. A lot of people do that. Some people prefer to put that underneath the spool or in other places if they so choose to mark it. Sometimes I'll find them on the reel seat here and so on. But we'll take the spool off just to show you. There's a click tongue here that's going to go with the click mechanism on this side. And other than that, the spool is pretty much a Penn spool through and through. It uses the drag washers for the 700 series. We'll take that apart later and show you the drag washers. So I'm just going to remove those, put those off to the side. And as I take the pieces and parts off of this reel, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you subscribe to my channel, please hit the notification button. That'll keep you aware of all of the videos I'm posting. And you can choose which reels that you want to see. Today I'm working on a Penn reel. Tomorrow might be a Shimano or a Daiwa or a Shakespeare, and all types, ocean, river, bay, and pond reels as well. All right, as I take this apart, I want to make sure that I disengage that anti-reverse. The reason I do that is as I take the pieces and parts off, I don't want the dog to interfere with the action. I'm just going to loosen the handle now. I'm not going to take it off completely, but then I'm going to move to the other side of the reel and take off the single screw, which gives me the access to the inside of the workings. So one of the nice things about these reels is that you can kind of a quick cleanup and lubrication of the reel simply by removing that one screw. You have access to all the internal workings of this reel. And you can see that well, it's been a while since it's been cleaned, but it's working fine. And again, I remember I loosened it, but I didn't do it. And here's why. I wanted to show you how this is working inside. It has a plastic crosswind block, which is kind of similar to a Mitchell. It has a nice main gear and a pinion gear that's inside. And that's how you take the reel apart. We're going to start by removing the clip on that crosswind block. It's a U-clip. And we're going to make sure that we keep track of those. So I use a parts tray to do that. And my parts tray is nothing more than the bottom of a fast food container. When I remove that clip, I can pull the axle shaft out now simply by pulling up and out. And while I do that, I like to wipe off the old greases and clean it up at the same time if I can. And if I notice any roughness, and there's a little bit of roughness, not much, but you can always go in there and you can clean it with a scrubby pad or with some steel wool, and that'll just kind of buff it up and out, and it'll make it work easy enough. So let me just get a piece of steel wool here. I use 4-0 steel wool. It's the ultra fine or extra fine steel wool. I don't go any more than that. And this is where I was looking, just where it was seated with that crosswind block. It seems like some of the grease just dried on there. All right, that's done. Notice that there's a plastic washer up top here. That's for the bottom of the spool and serves as a drag, so make sure that you don't lose that piece. All right, the crosswind block can come off next. And what looks like the major issue or reason why you're servicing the reel at the moment is that, well, it's out of grease. A lot of the stuff is just coagulated around the drop-off points. You can see it's been spun free and into the case, and all of that has to come out in order to make this work. Next up then, we're going to go for the removal of the rotor nut, and I'm going to have to get a deep socket. I'm not sure if I have that socket here, but you can't reach that with the regular wrenches because you have a lip. Let's just see if that's it. That's not it. So I'm going to pause the video. I'll go get the right socket. I'll come back in just a moment. Okay, so I've returned. I have the socket. We have the nut. Yep, there we go. We'll just break that. And then I'm going to finish that by taking that off by hand. I just like to make sure that we keep those threads intact there. I don't like over greasing or over wrenching or any of those kinds of things. We'll take this off now, and you're going to notice that we have a little key under here. And if I remember this one, we have the stop block. Yes. All right, so I'm going to remove the handle at this point. I'm noticing a little bit of grease on the anti-reverse dog, so I'm going to use a penetrating oil to break that grease up. And while I'm at it, we can put a little bit of penetrating oil on the inside of those bail arms, just to make sure that it removes any tarnish and grease and the like. Here's that set screw that we were talking about. We want to remove that. That's holding the assembly in. That's very much like a Mitchell. A Mitchell will have set screws in there that'll hold those pieces at hand. And now you can pull out the assembly. There's nothing much going on in this. There's a collar and a pinion gear. You just want to make sure that you clean both. And removing that also is going to enable, as you just probably saw, it's going to enable the main gear to fall out. If you weren't paying attention before, the small end of this collar belongs on the bottom, like that. And when you go to reseat, that hole there is going to be where this screw is ultimately going to lodge. So make sure that you keep those together, and we'll come back and grease that as we get ready. Well, the main gear just slipped out of this one, which is because it was held in by the pinion gear. And now it's time to go clean the case. We'll see all kinds of old grease just kind of thrown off to the side by centrifugal force. And it says that the reel hasn't been cleaned in a while. Not a big problem. And I just use cotton swabs. We also have a little Teflon washer on the back here, which is going to seat to the main gear. So let's go put that back on there. Here's your anti-reverse dog mechanism. And a little bit more grease on the side. So much of reel servicing is just cleaning the old parts, checking them out, making sure that they're okay, that they're not broken or worn to any degree where it would stop the reel from functioning properly. And a little bit of lubrication and a little bit of oil and grease, and you're fine. That's all you need to do. And it doesn't take long to do, but if you don't do it, well, you're asking for trouble. Okay, we're going to take the main gear then, clean that up. That's a beautiful piece of machined metal there. Not sure if this, it kind of feels like aluminum, but I'm not sure. It may be stainless. And we'll just do the same thing here. Get a cotton swab in the middle, get rid of all the old grease that's dried along the side. I'm going to check the teeth on the main gear, make sure that they're all even. There's nothing wrong with those. And then we're going to use a brush, wire brush, or a firm toothbrush to knock the grease out of the channels of those teeth. If you don't, it's sort of like hitting a speed bump in the road. It'll come to a part where you have some hard grease in there, and it'll just kind of bump. All right, and you notice I kind of brush them towards that paper towel so that any grease that did get chunked out didn't fall onto my bench to fall onto other reels as I'm servicing them. We'll take the Penn Precision Reel Grease, that's the blue grease. We're putting this on the reel just not because it's a Penn reel, but because it's a fishing reel. And I do encourage everybody, please just use fishing reel grease. Don't use the exotic home greases and automobile greases. Fishing reel grease is inexpensive, and it's designed for fishing reels, and it will last you a long time if you simply follow your instincts and use the right oils and greases. All right, I'm going to take the main gear then. We can put that back in. I'm going to use the handle to hold that fast. Once I do that, then we can move over to the pinion gear that we had. Remember, we took that off and I stored it there we've cleaned it. I'm going to put some grease on the inside of this, and we're going to grease the bottom of it as well. I do believe all these parts are brass. Not a metallurgist, and I can't keep track of all of these things like halcyon and other things that are being touted these days. Find the hole in the collar. Go ahead and insert it, and then you need to see that hole when you set that down. Then you can take your set screw, reinstall that, and you're getting on your way back to getting done. So if you have questions on this reel or any reel in particular, if you leave them in the comments section, I will be happy to try and answer those for you and try and get you on track. Maybe you're working on a reel and you're stuck. This one certainly isn't stuck. I'm going to put the dog on, make sure that we have a dog that's working properly. And this one's just a beautiful example of a well-made reel. Okay, we don't have anything going on under here, so we're going to go ahead and put the rotor back on. Then you'll notice that that little hold fast has a rectangular design to it. You need to find the flat sides of the pinion gear, get that on, and then align it into the slots of the rotor. And we can grab the nut that we took off, and we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to put it on by hand as much as we can. And again, that's at the risk of cross-stripping. If you take a wrench and you start trying to put it on from the beginning, you may cross-strip that piece, and that piece is getting harder and harder to find. Reverse the throw on our wrench, tighten that up, and we can give that a nice test. Scott, you have a beautiful reel here. And put a little bit of grease on the inside face where the crosswind block is going to ride. We can put a little bit of grease into the channel of the crosswind block. And we can get ready to reinstall the block and the axle shaft. When you go for the axle shaft, note the holes. You want to line that up with the holes in the crosswind block. So when you're going in, you kind of eyeball it. Get a second chance when you come down to the bottom here. You'll see that you want to be in that kind of a position. And then once you've got them lined up, go ahead and put that little clip in. It looks like a staple. If you lose it, I guess you could probably fashion one out of a staple. Okay. With the clip properly installed, all we need to do is take the side plate and put that on. Get that side plate screw in, and then it'll be time to go up to the spool and service the drag washers. So if you have any questions on this reel or any reel in particular, maybe you're working on one and you're stuck, if you leave that in the comment section, I'll try and answer that question for you. So give it a turn, make sure that's working fine. Check the bail at this point. Remember, we sprayed the internal pieces with the penetrating oil, and if that's working, that's all you need to do. All right, the spool has a drag tensioner, and I got started on this one. It has a little C-clip that comes out, and now we can remove the drag stack. So these are Teflon washers on this reel. And Teflon washers do not require any kind of lubrication. By their nature, they are self-lubricating. They're a petroleum product. I'm just trying to get that last washer out of here with the pick. There we go. And so you just want to make sure that they're clean and free of sand and grease and the like. Take a cotton swab and get the last of the greases and sands and dirt that's inside here. And then time to reinstall. Make sure they're clean. You can wipe them off. Start with the Teflon washer, and then you have what's called a keyed washer. It's a round washer with a rectangular center. Then the second rectangular washer goes. Again, make sure that they're clean, wipe them off. The middle washer is a hectagonal washer. It's got a bunch of points on it, a bunch of points of stars on the inside of it. Line them in and line them up, drop it in, just like that. And we should have one more Teflon washer, one more metal washer, or keyed washer. Then we have that clip. Now I got started with that clip a little bit earlier. The clip rides in a groove right on top of that metal washer. To take it out, use a small pick in one of those pointed areas to push it out. And to reinstall, well, it's kind of the reverse operation. You just pull, and this is, I know my hands are in the way and I'll apologize for that. You just pull the sides in and you can push them down with that screwdriver. You make sure that it's seated in that groove all the way around, and then that's ready to reinstall on the reel. So I'm going to do that right now. Take our adjuster button. Yep, you want to make sure it holds and then back it off. You don't want to keep these pressed down. That'll press washers. That'll be disadvantageous. There you go. So that's the Penn 720Z. Beautiful reel that Scott brought in from a flea market. And now it's serviced, ready to go fishing again. So to everybody as a first responder, essential personnel, thank you for everything it is that you're doing. To everybody, please stay safe, stay well, and stay watching. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.